Okay. Today we're going to be looking at lists, how to create them, both ordered and unordered list, choosing the markers for the list, using custom markers, choosing where to start line numbering, controlling where markers, where they hang on the side of the list, setting the list style properties and how to do those all at once, and of course styling nested list, and finally getting into creation of description lists. So some of you have probably already seen the list item before in HTML. We've used it here and there, but we're going to be specifically looking at the idea of ordered list, unordered list, and description list. Ordered lists, they use numerics or alphabetic characters to mark the order of the item. So for an ordered list, you would start with the OL tag for the parent, and inside that tag, it would have a set of children that were all LI list item tags. Again, you usually use these to mark off things that you want in order, say like a numbered set, a grocery list, a set of links, ordered links. Even if you're creating a YouTube channel, ordered lists are a great way to organize and number things sequentially. The next set that we have is the unordered list, and the unordered list uses standard bullets or other markers to mark the item. Unordered lists are not meant to be ordered. In fact, it's just a running list of things. To create those, you'll use the UL tag, which again stands for unordered list, OL, ordered list. And inside the unordered list, it has a set of children tags that you would use, and these are the LI, or the list item tags. The third type that we have is the description list. And the description list is a little bit different. It's used to list sets of definitions and tags, usually like a header or a title. This is some type of name, key name value pair. And what it'll do is it'll have the name on one line and the title underneath, spaced over, tabbed a certain number of characters. These are the three types of lists that exist for HTML, and we're going to kind of walk through these today for a little bit. All right, so again, we have the ordered list, the unordered list, and the description list. Okay. So let's talk about ordered list. You can see here in this example that we have the OL tag, and inside of it you had a set of list items, and the list items here, they're taking text, and at the bottom you have the closing OL tag, and by default it generates what you see there on the right. In this example, they've put an H1 tag, a header tag at the top called changing a light bulb. And I don't know if you've been out to those websites, the how-to websites, and they give you examples of how to, they even have one for changing a light bulb. So anyways, it's kind of silly, but this is the example of how you use it. Ordered lists, unordered lists are similarly laid out, same pattern, except you use a UL. And the unordered list will actually generate the example that you see there on the right, the product features, and then you have a set of bullets underneath it specifying it. One thing I want you to notice, though, is that the default style sheet for both an unordered list and an ordered list, they all have this default spacing. And we're going to get in to this in a minute and talk about how to take that spacing out and transform the way it looks. Okay, which is what we're doing here. So you can see on the left, you have the product features. You have this awkward spacing that's set out. And then we have some CSS. So we have some code, a class called HDG, and we're setting the font size for the HDG. And we're saying that the font size is going to be 1.5 EM. And if you remember, the default body size is 16 pixels. So if you're trying to figure out what the font is, you would take 1.5 and divide that into 16, and that would give you what the pixel size is, right? The other thing that they're doing is they're setting the margin at the bottom as 0. And the HDG here is actually this header. That's what that is. So we're setting the header with a margin of 0, and you can see that here on the left it has this huge margin. Here on the right the margin is removed. Then the next thing we're doing is we're saying HDG plus UL and HDG plus OL. And they've got a comment text saying this would work for either one. And the very top it says put the margin at 0.5 EM, 0.5 EM, which again is half of 16 pixels, right? So they're giving the top of the unordered list 8 pixels distance. So it was 0, and now it's going to be 8 pixels, right? And that's what this represents here. The next one, the next selector is saying for the UL, put the margin on the left as 0. And so it's sliding everything all the way over. And then they're creating a padding left of 18 pixels. And that 18 pixels gives us this distance that we see right here in between the edge and where the dots are at. All right, and then the last part is the UL list item. For this, we're saying for each of these, put a margin top of 0.4 EM, which gives us that 6 millimeter spacing in between each line. That's pretty straightforward. This is typically the way that you would style your ordered and unordered list. Ordered and unordered lists are constructed very much the same way, and so the styling is going to work pretty much the same for both of those. All right, so let's talk about optional attributes. When you're creating an ordered list or an unordered list, there are a couple of different additional attributes you could use that determine how the lists are going to be displayed. There's the start attribute, the type attribute, and the reversed. Start is typically used for ordered list. We were going to say with start what number it will begin at. So you put the start up in the ordered or unordered list tag, and you'll specify that the start value would be 1 or A or something. The type is specifying the type of marker that would be used. So for example, it might be favorable to use a Roman numeral or a capital A or a 1. And type is going to use that as the specifier. Sometimes it's a lowercase a or a lowercase I. Type was what you'd use there. In reversed, it gives you the ability then to actually flip-flop the numbering system. And so this again is useful when the semantics of your list needs to be starting from maybe 10 and going down. So if you know that your list is automatically sorted the opposite direction, using the reversed attribute gives you that ability. For reversed, there's two ways you can use it. You can actually just specify the attribute and leave it dangling with no equal and no quotes. Or you can say reversed equals, inside the quotes, reversed. Most browsers just recognize the attribute itself. If you put reversed in there, it'll recognize the flag. So list items, they can contain a lot of different things. They can contain text, links, images. There's a lot of options there for list items. And one of the primary uses that we see a lot for list items and unordered list are that for navigation. You can do things with your list item where you can tell that the break space either to be a complete break or just a single space. If you remember, we had this thing where we call the display would be block, or the display is line, I believe it is. You can apply the display to a list and it will cause the list to stack horizontally. Yeah, horizontally next to each other. All right, let's go on here. So the other cool thing you can do here is with the markers. We've already hinted at this with the attributes, but you can as well, you can specify the markers through through your CSS. So you can see in this example here, we have the ordered list, we have introduction, we have development, climax, denouement, and epilogue. And you can see the way they're specified. Each of these has the LI in front of it. They're wrapped completely with the OL item, and it automatically generates a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Well, it won't generate the Roman numeral set unless you specify either through the attribute itself, where you say type is Roman numeral and the start would be I, capital I. Otherwise, the way you could do this is through your CSS and just say list item, list style type, upper Roman. And that will force this way of doing it. I personally prefer to use the CSS methodology. It keeps the HTML a little freer, a little more clean, and it makes it easier to read. By keeping all of your styles like this in a style sheet, I honestly prefer that. Now you can see here in the comments as well, we have a comment here wrapping the OL, and you could have you could specify it for the entire object list, and this would have the same effect as specifying it here just on the list item. Okay, any questions so far? All right. The other type of markers that you can choose are the preset value ones. For example, you have a marker of disk, circle, square, decimal. You can of course specify upper alpha, lower alpha, or upper Roman, and as well you could specify lower Roman. Now, if you don't want any marker to be displayed, then of course you have the value you could say as none. The thing is though, there's a lot more markers that you could use than just what we've talked about here. If we go ahead and click on the Quirks Mode org CSS list HTML, and I'll pull it up on my site here so you can see it. You can see a vast list as well as the browser compatibility with what is acceptable. So you could specify declaration of asterisk. You could specify Armenian, which you can get some of these really interesting character sets. You can use binary. And of course, you can see that for some of these, they're not supported. So, for example, Internet Explorer all the way through IE10 Part 2 is not supported for many of these. Now, I don't know about Edge, because I think Edge is actually IE12. But you have a lot of different options. You have circle, you have decimal, decimal leading 0, which is sometimes useful. You have disks and footnotes, Georgian, lower alpha, lower Greek. There's a lot of different markers that you could use here. I recommend that you go to this site and take a look at it. And I'll go ahead and paste this in the chat so you guys can reference this on your own. This is also in the text, and it's a good site to go through. You can use squares, you can use upper alpha, upper Greek. There's a lot of different options. You also have the unsupported values, many different types here. Okay, let's go back to our class for a moment. Let's see, where did it go? There we go. Let me go back. So we have these list types. So let's go ahead and open up Atom, and let's kind of work through some samples here. All right. So let me close some of this stuff down I was working on from earlier. All right. So we have in my website, I've got a folder called CSS Enhancements. I'm going to create a new folder in here, and we'll just call it HTML lists. And I'm going to create a folder in here, call this CSS, and a new file. This will be our index HTML, and we'll let Atom do all the work for us. I really like that feature. And let's create some different list items here. So again, we have the unordered list. We can type UL and Atom will create it, and LI. And this is an unordered list. So I'm going to create a header object here to label my my item, and I'm going to wrap this in a div and call this my unordered list 1. And I'm just going to grab that, paste it in there. So keep things organized, and let's do languages, and we'll put in here Chamorro. Now, before anyone yells at me, if you're Guamanian, I know you spell it like this, but my wife spells it like that, so I don't want to offend anyone. We have Tagalog. Did I spell that right? Is it T-G-A or G-O? All right, no one's going to tell me. Let's see, we have T-G-A. All right. Let's see. Korean. Let's put English in here. Chinese. Let's see. Any other languages for the class that I miss? Carolinian. But that's not how you say it. It's actually how do you spell it? Rafa. R-E. See, you guys are going to hate me, aren't you? Rafa. Listen, I'm doing the best I can. I don't know all the spelling, so you all please forgive me. All right. So we have just a simple set of languages, right? Let's go ahead and Let me close that. And let's go back to our class here. Close some of these out. We will open our file. This is in our NMC folder. And CSS, and I think I put it underneath here. Yep. Index. Okay. So very simple unordered list, right? All right, so let's go ahead and create a second list. I'm going to create an ordered list -1 H1 my favorite, let's see, my top 5 favorite foods. And I don't even know if I'm able to answer this correctly because I'm feeling kind of blah lately about eating. Let's see, I'll put pizza. Maybe I'll just put all the foods I'm not supposed to have. Burgers. What's that? Burritos. Spell that right? You know what? I am batting 100 today, aren't I? You're glad this isn't an English class, right? Y'all would college level English class and the teacher can't spell. All right, let's see. Well, since we said burritos, what's that? Chicken? Okay. Chickens? I don't think that's, I don't think there's a plural on that one. Let's see, one other. I'm sorry? B-A-L-U-T. Oh. Yeah, this we're making me a liar now, aren't we? You know, I only saw someone eat a balut one time. And I wasn't, you know, I didn't get sick at my stomach or anything. I was just one of those guys who just sit there and watched and went, you know, just stared. All right, so ordered list. We'll go back to our page. We'll refresh it. My top 5 favorite foods, right? So we have some examples here of ordered and unordered. Let's go ahead and go into our CSS. We'll create a CSS file. Let's see, we'll call this style CSS. And we want to order our list. So I'm going to use my style class I created over here. Unordered list. And let's see. Let's make the font family. Is Merriweather available? I don't know if it's available or not. It may not recognize that one. Let's see. Tahoma, Verdania, Helvetica sans serif. Okay. Let's see, we got to come back into our index and we have to reference our list. Our style sheet, I mean. Okay. So everything is saved. Come back over here and refresh it. All right, so it's changed it a little bit. For our ordered list, one, we'll do a font family of how about I've got some different fonts down here that I was using earlier. Try those. Okay. A little bit different kind of font, not too much. I'm going to go ahead and change the color though, and I'm going to use a dark gray. And for here, I'm going to use a navy. All right. It's not very dark, is it? It's okay. So we got two different here. Let's change this to maybe, what options do we have? I am not much for memorizing my colors, so you all give me a second here. Let's do something like this. That color. All right, so we got a color set. A couple things we want to do to fix these things. So let's say be good if I spelled these right. Unorder ed. There we go. H1, we'll say margin bottom 0 px, and if we save that, you'll see what the margin bottom does. I took it out just a little bit. So we told our H1, which is right here, to have a margin bottom of 0. Took it out a little bit. So let's continue to add to this. Let's go down and say our UL margin top has 0. That has no effect. Let's say go down deeper. H1UL. Let's see, we want the margin left to be 0. Am I saving it? There we go. Unordered. Let me make sure I've specified this right. So let me go back here. So we have our unordered list. And plus our H1, or plus our UL, I mean. And we're going to specify margin top. And we'll say 8 pixels. And I'm going to do a UL. And we'll say our margin left is 0. Our padding left is 18px. And then we're going to use a ULLI. And we'll say our margin top is 6 pixels. Okay, there we go. So this gives us the formatting, bringing it right over to the side. Now we could also enforce that with with our ordered list, and we can just do that simply by well, since we have this style present here, what we'll have to say is comma dot ordered list dash 1 H1 plus OL, right? Save it, refresh it. I miss anything? Ordered list 1. Make sure I've got everything. Unordered list. Ordered list 1. Oh, I'm not paying attention. There we go. And of course that gives us the same look and feel there. All right, so the other thing that we were looking at was the shape, right? If we wanted to change the discs on these, how would we do that? Well, let's go back into our style, and we'll specify for our list item, let's say our unordered list items, that we're going to use a list style type of square. And if we refresh that and come back in, now you can see they're squares. Additionally, you could change them. You could say for our pizzas, we could say our OLLI list style type, and we could use upper Roman. And if we refresh it, now they're Roman, right? There's all types of options that we could use there for these. All right, let's go ahead and go back to our lecture one real quick. And this is so far where we're at. We're looking at the discs, the different type of markers of changing and so forth. So let's talk about custom markers. Custom markers give you the ability to put something unique on the page, right? Maybe you want to put a completely different style. So in this instance, they have these as checkboxes. Excuse me, got the hiccups again. But let's say that we made these, you know, something custom, right? So I've got a image. Let me see if I can find this image real quick. And we will use this same functionality, what we see here, and we'll try it out. Let me see. Where is the text that I wanted? Give me 1 second here. Let's see. I should go ahead and show you what I'm doing right now, just so that you guys are aware of it. Actually, I gotta exit out of the display here. You can do this, of course, in any paint, any editor that you like. But all I'm doing is I'm just creating a simple icon and setting it to the screen. So I'll do like 36 maybe. There we go. Make it a little bit bigger. All right, so I have just a very basic icon here. Let's go ahead and save this in our NMC location. Where did you go? Other. This is going to be NMC, CSS, my website, HTML list. And I'm just going to save it here on the root of this folder. This is a plus icon. And let me export it real quick. Because we're using this as an icon, make sure you save whatever icons you have that are transparent as PNGs. All right, so I've saved my little icon. Let me drag that out of the way, and we're going to maximize this again real quick. And we're gonna jump into that in just a second. But what I want you to notice is that in order to use this type of list style structure, the first thing that they've done in their UL tag in their CSS list is they specified that the style is none. And what that'll do is it actually removes the default markers, whether it be disk, circle, square, decimal, upper, whatever. And then they went ahead and they set the margins for left as 0, padding is 0. And here in the list item, using the background element, they're specifying the object. They're saying no repeat, and they're giving it a size. The other neat thing that they're doing is making sure that the size of the image and the line height matches. So we'll have to play with this in a little bit because I made my image 30 pixels by 30 pixels. And then they're setting the padding. So they bump over the text to make room for the image. All right. So we're going to jump back into Atom. And if we were to look at our items here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the languages, and I'm going to use my plus symbol instead of what we were doing before. So to do this, what we're going to do is I'm going to take out a lot of the code we have here so far. And take that out. And we're going to specify our UL. We're going to say for our unordered list, we're going to say that the list style is none. And if we save that and go back to our site, these squares here should disappear, and they do. And then we're going to set the margin. So we'll say our margin left is 0. We'll save it and look at it again. Okay. And then we're going to go down to our list item. And we're saying UL, LI, because we don't want all of our lists to change just yet. We're going to give the background image, and we'll specify a URL for it. And our image, it's right here, plus icon. If we click on it, we can see just a tiny little icon here on the screen. All right, so I'm going to specify the icon, and it's up one directory from the CSS. It's plus underscore icon dot PNG. After this, we're going to say no repeat, and we're going to use the spacing here of 0, 0. Now, the other thing I want to do is I want to give spacing here. So I'm going to say padding left, padding left, and we'll set our padding left here to 0. We'll come over here and look at it real quick. I have this right? Let me do that. If you always run into a problem, something isn't displaying, make sure that you look at the code for it and figure out why. Okay. So there is. Okay, so I need to go back and change my location. There we go. Your Chrome browser will always show you, it kind of gives you validation here. This is very small text. I don't know if you can see it on your end, but it'll tell you that it says the file is not found. So this was because I took out the path registry for where my icon was at. All right, so let me refresh it. And there is the icon, right? But it's not really in a place that makes sense. So what I have to do now is specify the spacing and the line height and so forth. So let's go back into our background here. We have our list item, and let's change that to 1 EM. Oops. 1 EM, refresh it, okay. And then we're going to set the line height, and we're going to say 1.8, and we'll do that. And that's almost, right? So let's take it up to 1.9, refresh it again. That's just about there, so it looks like maybe it's a 2 is what we need. Yeah, that's pretty much dead center now. So let's go down here to the next property, and we need to bump the text over. So you say padding left here, and we'll use 1.75 EM. Refresh it, and there you go. So what we've successfully done is we've created the icon, and we've put it on the page, and we've given it some padding. Now this padding is maybe not quite enough, so I'm going to go ahead and take it up to 1.8. A little bit more, maybe 1.85. Yeah. As you can see, this is a very iterative process. You're just trying to get it to where you think it looks good, right? What looks good to you. And of course, maybe the size of this is too much altogether. So if that's the case, then you can either resize your image and repost it, or resize your list items. And we could do that here. We can make our list items a little bit bigger. We could say the font size is 16px. Okay, maybe 17. There you go. And that feels a little bit better with the size of it. We could keep going and maybe go up to a 22. Right? Now our line height is a little off. So maybe we need to bring our line height down to a 1.8 again. And still isn't quite there. Right? So this is kind of the process. So this is how you would change the markers. Now again, if you look at it, notice that the list style is set to none. We have the margin left and the padding left are 0 for the UL. So we're forcing this area over here right up against the edge. The list item, we're setting the padding left to come from right here going over 1.9 EM. And of course the line height in between each line we're specifying. All right, any questions so far on how we've done these list items? Now, here's the interesting thing. You could go into your index HTML and you could say for one of these, you could say I'm going to have a style, let's see, a class of flag. And if I go into my style, I think I've got a flag somewhere, don't I? Where was my flags at? Over here? I don't remember. Let me just do this real quick. I will take and create a another little icon to represent a flag. And it looks, I'll tell you right now, it looks nothing like a flag, but it's going to serve the purpose. All right. So here's my flag icon, right? It doesn't look like anything like it, but it'll serve the purpose for what we're doing here in the style. So I could literally come down and specify this. I could say UL, LI, and use the, what was the style we created? We called it flag, and then specify again my background. And for this one, if we looked at it and refreshed it, just that one, it's going to change the icon. So you don't all, they all don't have to be the same. You could specify your markers to be different. And of course that might be appropriate down here if you had icons for pizza or for burger or for balut. You could do the same thing, specifying the markers there. Okay, let's go ahead and jump back into our lecture again. Any questions so far with what we've done? No? Okay. So list numbering and order and choices. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, or maybe your requirement is that the list start at a particular number and that you want it to skip a number so far down the list and start numbering again. What we're showing here on the screen is exactly how to do that. In the example, we have an ordered list. We specify the start attribute to say 2. So what that means is this list item of unscrew the bulb would be number 2. And then the next list item, we're specifying a value of 5. So literally how this would read is 2, 5, 6. Because we've used the start attribute of 2 and the value of 5. The start attribute and the value attribute, they control this. The other thing you need to kind of recognize, though, in how this appears, the value attribute is going to override it's going to override that start attribute. And that's what we see here. So if you put a value down here below and you say the value below is going to be something else, it's going to override it, and the direction of the rest of the list will follow that new value. So here we see, of course, the example 2, 5, and 6. You can also specify the initial value of the entire list. So we've talked about here where the start is in. And of course, the previous example just demonstrated that. N represents whatever that initial number is. The other thing that you can do is you can specify the type. Again, type is M. It's same Same as up here. Whatever you specify the type is, it will take on that value. Now these preset values you see here, so if I specify type as 1, then the list will be numbered by, will be ordered by numbers. And this is the default. If you don't specify this, if you don't specify a type, it'll automatically be ordered by numbers. If you specify a type of a uppercase A, that means that the list will be ordered by numbers, or lowercase a, or I. Then it'll use the Roman numerals, or type lowercase I, which is lowercase Roman numerals. This really gives you a lot of ease in expressing how you want your pages to be numbered. All right, let's go ahead and try it out again. We're going to use the start and the value. And guys, I want to tell you the reason why we keep switching over to practice these is this is about developing fluency. The more you code using the language and the more you do it, the better you get at it, and it becomes more second nature. So let's go ahead into our index HTML. We have our top 5 favorite foods, and I'm going to say that the start value for this is going to be 3. And if we save it, go back to our top 5 favorite foods and refresh it, we can see now that pizza is starting at number 3. If we go down to burritos, we could say that the value for burritos is going to be 7 or 8. Let's do 8. Refresh it. You can see it goes 3, 4, skips it to 8. And of course, we could do the same thing for balut. No offense to those of you who like balut, but it's going to be way out there. Oh, did I discover a bug? Maybe my number is too big. I don't know, but apparently there is a limit. That would be a good thing to look up. What is the highest number that you can put in a list item, right? All right, so let's test this the other way. Let's take out the start, and we'll use a type. And for the type, we'll use an alpha, right? And just to see what would happen, let's leave the value of 8 and 1000 in there and just see what it does. That's interesting. So it's converting, I think I is the 8th, or H is the 8th letter in the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. It's interesting it does that. And then, of course, it goes to I, and then ALL for 100. Is that adding that up? What is L? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. So that is 12. I don't know. That's interesting. All right, so we have the type of A. Let's specify the value here as G, and balut. Sorry, you're going to the end of the list as ZZ. And it did not work. A, B, C, D, E, F. Well, that is bizarre. Apparently that works when we specify a number, doesn't it? So if we specify 5 and 26, yeah. You learn something new every day. I didn't know that. So the value, the number value, is actually specifying how many letters down the alphabet you have to go. All right. Any questions? Yes. You can say start at B Again, the start and the value have to be numeric. Martin, you're asking good questions, man. So let's look at this. This is now B, C, B, C, D, but it's still staying at E. So A, B, C, D, E. So 5 is still E. Yeah. It's very interesting. Okay. Let's jump back to our lecture again. The other things that you can do, of course, are where the markers hang. So the standard way, the default for marker is to use the list position of inside. This means that the list will appear to the inside of the marker. This is the default mechanism. Sometimes, though, maybe you don't want your list position to be like that. Maybe you want it to be outside. So you could specify it as outside. And again, it's just using the list style position for those. Very basic kind of stuff. We've talked about this a little bit with the styles, but you can specify your styles, of course, the same way. You could say list style inside, and it would do that. Of course, in this example, the list style is circle, but they're using the outside on this one. And of course, all new lines, unless it's going to wrap, it would be defaulted to outside. Did I say that right? Yes, I said that wrong. So this is the inside. And here, they're specifying outside, even though that this text here is inside. You could also do this with arrows. You could specify the list style is arrow right PNG and circle and inside. A lot of different things you can do. And then you have what is your nested lists. So in nesting a list, the idea is that, for example, you might want to specify a table of contents. The outside of the list, we have the Roman numerals. On the inside, we have the uppercase alpha letters. And if we look at the styling of this, that's exactly what we're doing. We're saying on the outside of the ordered list, use upper Roman. On the inside, the nested list, make it upper alpha. And the nested, we're going to make it decimal using the numbers. We're specifying the object list font size, and down here the list item font size, right? Pretty basic stuff. All right, let's jump over and try it again. Go and open up your Atom browser, and I'm going to go to my list items for pizza here, and I'm going to create a new OL, and inside of that another list item. And this is going to be my, how do you spell bulgogi? Someone help me? Say it again. B-O-G-I, bulgogi. Like that. All right. If you've ever been to Monster Pizza, they have a really good bulgogi pizza. They're really good. I don't know if you guys like Monster Pizza or not. It is, and it's delicious. When I first told y'all were laughing at me when I put this up there, weren't you? You're like, oh no, it is awesome. Seriously, go try it. Let's see, what's another? We have, of course, pepperoni, right? Pepperoni. I cannot spell for the life of me today. Let's see, for burgers, OLLI. Let's see, let's do the blackened burger. Surf Club is featuring their blackened burger. I'm not getting paid for this, by the way, for the advertising, but it's really good food over there. It's the blackened burger, right? And McDonald's has the Big Mac. Burger King has the what is Burger King's? The Whopper. Yeah. All right, and then burritos. Twister? Oh. Okay. You eat a lot of Taco Bell, don't you? Philly steak. All right. Oops. All right. I'm gonna take off the bottom here just for the sake of time. Chicken and balut. I'm sorry if you're a fan of balut, but all right. We'll take out the value markers here, and we're going to take out all of this because we're going to specify the style of our ordered list through CSS. All right. So if I refresh this, we have kind of this lineup, right? All right, so we have ordered list 1. Let's see. I'm going to say dot ordered list -1, and the OL for this is going to be a list style of mind is going blank. Let's see. We'll do the list style for this, list style type, because that's what it is. We're going to call this the upper Roman, and save it. Go back over here, refresh it, and now it's forced all of these, right? All of those to be upper Roman, but that's not what we want. So I'm going to copy this, paste it again, and I'm going to say that my OL is going to be uppercase. Save it, refresh. Did I miss something? The style type. Oh. It does help if I have the right value, doesn't it? Upper alpha. Okay. So we have that. All right. So we've kind of specified. Let's go one level deeper. Let's do toppings. Right? beef. I mean, I know that traditional bulgogi is always beef, but you know, let's say it could be pork, even though it wouldn't be called bulgogi anymore, would it? It'd be called something else. All right, so if we refresh this at this point, we'll see that we've got extra, right? All right, so maybe we want to specify for this extra level, maybe we want to specify that it's going to be something different. So I'm going to copy this again, paste it below, and OL. And for this one, we're going to give it a value of decimal, right? So we refresh it, and so now we have like a standard outline, right? And of course, you could keep going. You could go another layer deep and do another different style, and another style, and another style. One of the things you'll notice here with the decimal is that the decimal could be something like decimal with a leading 0. So if you refresh it, now you have leading zeros in front of it, right? All kinds of different options you can do for your list items and styling them. Now, if we were to do this same thing in the text, this means that the HTML, that every time I wanted to change something, I would have to go into this and modify it. And you could do that, okay? You could do that. But as you get further into software development, you think about separating the content, separating what you're generating versus how you style it. Now, this would be perfectly legit to generate through like PHP, through a Java web server, maybe you're using Perl or something else. You could generate all of this code and you would send it to the browser, but you would want to send with it your style class. And keeping it separate means that whatever you generate, maybe you don't have all of these extra list items. Well, that's why you have the style class, to specify how it would be styled. And it just keeps things cleaner, keeps it all cleaner. All right, so let's go ahead and go back again to our slides. We've looked at how to style some of this stuff and how to deal with the nesting. Let's go ahead and look at navigations. Well, navigations is a whole nother question, right? The thing is that it's often very useful to set up your navigations through using lists. So let me see here. I don't think we're going to be demonstrating this one yet, but you'll notice in this instance we're using a class called nav, and the class is apparently either on the UL or above it. It's on the UL or the OL or above it, and of course its child, one of its children, is the LI. And so we're saying for it and the sub nav to do this left auto, right? And this is giving us the ability to kind of use the list items and stack them a certain way. All right, you'll have more time to get into that one later. All right, last item we're going to look at today. This is the description list. I found this interesting table here showing currently where description lists are supported. They're supported by Chrome, by Edge version 12, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Opera, Safari, as well as all of the majority of your mobile devices. Description lists are specifically used for describing the association between of names and terms and their value groupings. So if you have like on your website, you're going to list a set of definitions. It's very common and it's useful to use a description list for ordering and formatting those. Maybe you have a list of, like the textbook displays, a list of movies and who are the main actors. So you could list the actor, and then underneath it would be the description definition, or the description about the actor. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at how that you would lay these out. It's similar to the ordered and unordered. It's similar in the fact that your parent object is going to be the DL. This is the definition list. So remember, if it's an ordered list, it's an OL. Unordered, it's UL. Definition list, it's DL. So this is the parent. But it's different in that your list items come in key value pairs. So you have a title definition and you have a definition, right? The title is the key, and the DD is the value. Okay. If your definition is actually a definition, like it's like a glossary, then it's also good to go ahead and use the attribute tag DFN. DFN stands for definition, right? These are description list and description title and description definition. But this tag here is the definition tag. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be used. It could stand on its own. It could set in a sentence or anything that you're typing. Remember that things like DFM, the EM tag, and there's another tag out there. All of those tags they can set on their own in the text. They don't have to be used anywhere. But the reason why we're saying it's a good idea to use the DFN for definition is it semantically makes sense. You could wrap this with an EM, but remember the HTML, the hypertext markup language, is about semantics, and it's about making things readable for your screen readers, for those with disabilities and so forth. So even though it's legal to use instead of a DFN here, you could use an EM tag or something else. Use the DFN, the definition tag, when you're using an actual definition, right? Okay. That is it. That's all the lecture. So let's go back one more time. We're going to look at using the description list in our web page. We have all of these lists so far. So let's go ahead and create another one. I'm going to use another div here. And this is going to be my description list. And inside of this, I'm going to have a DL for description list. And you could specify a class if you want to. Inside my DL, I'm going to have my my DT, and this is where you would type something, right? So I'm gonna, since we've been talking about food, let's you guys give me a name of a food that's pretty bizarre, right? Boy, you are out there. I was considering that like just maybe a pet, not food. Okay, well, you said it. Tarantula. Tarantula. All right, well, is it 1R? How about 3? All right, so you have your DT, and then we need to follow it up with the description definition, right? So we'll type, this is Martin's #1 food item. We need to pray for Martin. All right. If we refresh the page, Martin, are you okay? I'm just picking on you, man. All right. All right. So if we refresh it, you can see that the layout of this is tarantula and then the text description, right? Now, I mentioned a minute ago that if it's an actual definition, you would mark it with DFN. And really all that's going to do is just make it italic, right? That's all it does for us. Actually, I need to close the tag properly. Let me do that again. There you go. It just makes it italic. So you could do the same, I believe, with an EM for emphasis. But remember, we this is semantically not correct. The browser will interpret it, but it's semantically not right. So let's do another one. So if you're going to create another list item, again, it's the same process. So you'd say DT and the item. What's another crazy food item? You guys have no idea. Tarantula is just like top the list of crazy food items, right? Fruit bat. Let's see. We'll do a DD. Also known as fahini. I don't know how this is spelled in Chamorro. Is that close? Maybe? Okay. Thank you. And let's see. Layla likes this one. I don't know if you like it or not, but all right. Now you could do this inside of here. This is appropriate. You could use an EM inside, right? This is appropriate. Because we've done it up top, we could do it again. We could wrap it, but let's just see what it looks like, right? So we'll go ahead and wrap it again because these are kind of more like definitions. Yeah. And this is the description list. Okay. Very straightforward, easy way to set it up. There's also styling that you can apply for this. You can specify languages. So, for example, you could specify lang and oops, it jumped all over the place. Lang, and we could say, is it CH for Chamorro? I don't know what the standard is out there, the ISO standard. Because I think Chinese is also CH. I'm not sure. All right. Oops. Extra text floating in on the page. All right. Any questions so far, guys? This is all of your types of lists and ways that you can work with them. Okay. If there's no questions, let's go ahead and go back to Moodle and take a look at the assignment for this week. I'm going to go ahead and drop this into my NMC folder. Where did it go? Got too much text floating around here. There it is. And put it right there. We'll unzip it. And let's see. I'm going to open a new project. We can add a project folder. Okay. If you go ahead and open the Word document for this, we're actually going to be dealing with navigation. And so this is a good example of how we can handle this. So I'm going to close some documents here real quick. Close the index HTML, we'll close the style. We have our drop-down navigation, and let's go ahead and see what that will look like. So we'll go to File, Open, go to your folder. Okay. So we have the application right here. Where did my Word doc go? So we need to unzip the file, modify the drop-down vertical CSS in the CSS folder. The drop-down nav should look like the following. Okay. So we're going to set the max width of the body. We're going to float the menu, do some stuff with the li and the nav class, and so forth. All right, so I'm going to pull my Word document off the screen so you all won't see it anymore. And this will give me some room to lay out Atom a little bit. Okay, there's our drop-down CSS. Let's pull this over just a hair. All right, so according to this, we need to go to number 1 and set the max width of the body to 900 pixels. So we'll say max width 900 px, save it and refresh. And of course I have minimized my screen. So let me take this out real quick. Save it and refresh it again. Okay. Put it back in. Save it, refresh it. All right, it's gone to 900 px. The next step is the menu class should be floated left. The menu class. So we'll locate the menu class. Menu. All right, so number 2 is the menu. This is the menu up here, right? So we've got these drop downs and so forth. This is the menu class. And over here, if I do a search for .menu, I find nothing. So let's go down here at the bottom, type menu, and float left with a width of 10 EM. Okay. Refresh. All right, so the menu is over here now. And this looks wild, right? That was unexpected. The LI within the nav class. So let's go up. The LI within the nav. Should have a width of 10 EM and a display of inline. All right. Let's make sure we're in the right spot. Okay, saved it, refresh. All right. When the mouse hovers over the list menu, when the mouse hovers over the list in the menu, the UL should have the following declaration. So when the mouse hovers over the list in the menu, where is this at? The list in the menu. All right, so this is the list. The UL should have the following declaration. So if I'm looking at number 4 correctly and you're looking at your Word doc, you'll notice that number 4 is pointing at the sub-items, right? So when you hover over something in the sub-item, what they're saying is that that sub-item needs to pop out to the right, okay? So if I'm going to, let's see, I think this might be it right here. The left nav li hover, let's see, 10 EM, the width should be auto, and the background color should be that. And if I'm not on the right one, we'll change that back. There we go. That's what it's supposed to do. So here is the nav, li hover, ul, and the changes we made to it. You guys with me so far? Okay. Number 5 is saying that the content should have a max width of 700 px and have a margin left of em with the position absolute at the top. All right, so let's find the content. This is the navigation. This is the content area. So if we look at the HTML for a second, all of this is our menu, and down here is the content. So the content class. All right, did we see a content class anywhere? No, we did not. So that leads me to believe we need to add it. So we'll say .content, and it should have a max width of 700 px, a margin left of 11 em, a position absolute, and a top of 1 em. Okay, is everyone with me so far? Okay. Drum roll, please. You ready? Boom. There we go. So it dropped it over to the right and moved this header over to the right. We have this menu now, which again, it's all list items. All of these are list items. All right, number 6. The li on the font within the phone line class should include a list style manager of arrow right GIF. Okay. So, is there a phone line class? Let's do a search. Phone line. Nothing. So the li within the phone line class. All right. So phone line. Let's check this out. Make sure we're looking at the right thing. Is there no phone line class specified in here? This is it right there. Ah, you see that? My predecessor put the wrong class name in the Word doc. It isn't phone line we're looking for, it's phone list. Okay? Did everyone see that? It's very important because it'll drive you crazy if you're not paying attention. All right, so let me take this out. I'm going to do a search for phone list. Nothing. We'll go back over here again and look. Here's the phone list. Here are the LIs. Okay. According to the directions, we want the phone list and the LIs to have a list style image of our arrow right GIF. All right, keep in mind, if we look over here, bring this over just a little bit. I'm in the CSS folder, right? Here's the image folder. So think about what I got to do. I got to go up, up. I got to go up a directory. Then I got to go into the image directory. And then I need to specify the arrow right GIF. Okay. All right. So we've done that. Saved it. Drum roll, please. Because there's no phone line class for sure. And there we go. There's the GIF. Traded it out.